Adopting a wild Mustang has always been a dream of mine. Ever since I was a little girl, I was always intrigued with wild Mustangs. I have always told myself that someday I would train a wild Mustang. And I have held on to that over the years. It was really earlier this year that I started realizing and asking myself, when was someday? When was someday going to happen? And I didn't know the answer for that. I kind of just, in my plan, figured that it would all just come together naturally. I just sort of assumed that everything would be falling into place just magically. After realizing that, I decided just to take a leap and make my someday a today. So I decided to just jump on it, ready or not, and adopt a wild Mustang this year. I do want to say that this Mustang, when I say adopt, I don't actually mean I intend to keep it in the long term. This is going to be a project horse for me to train and then rehome and hopefully do it again. That's kind of my long-term goal, to buy, train, sell. Okay, so there are several ways to adopt a wild Mustang, but first you have to be approved by the Bureau of Land Management, or the BLM. There are many different ways that you can adopt a wild Mustang, but some of the major ones are the permanent corrals. So you go to these permanent locations and you can adopt a horse on site. Another way is to attend an adoption event. So the Bureau of Land Management would ship the wild horses to a location. They'd have an event for like the weekend, and you could either do an auction or just first come, first serve adoption of the horses. The third way, which I'm going to be talking a little bit more about in this video, is the internet adoption. And I'm going to share my experience with you on that. So the internet adoption makes it really practical for me because these permanent corrals are all out west. And I live up in New England, so they're very far. And the internet adoption had a pickup location in Pennsylvania. So that made it a lot more practical for me to be able to drive somewhere on the East Coast and not have to go on a several-day trip. Okay, so first I'm going to talk a little bit more about the application. As I mentioned, in order to adopt, you have to complete an application and then get approved by the Bureau of Land Management. Okay, so to start an application, first you have to create a login on the internet corral. This is super easy. You just enter your email, create a password, and be sure to remember this for the future. The next thing you have to do is click the application tab, and then you can enter your information there. Now I will say, some parts of this application I really didn't know the answer to, but I just filled it in to the best of my ability. For example, I didn't know whether I wanted a mare or gelding. Now the application is going to ask about your corral dimensions, the height, and the type of material. Same with the shelter. It wants to know what the roof is, what the material is, how many sides it has, and is it connected to that corral directly. It's also going to ask about food and water, and that was another tricky spot because it asked me how much feed I would be feeding these Mustangs, and that really depends on the horse, so I just said depends on the horse. The next tricky thing is the trailer. I don't actually have a trailer, and I'm planning to pay someone to transport from Pennsylvania to Vermont. So I just put in the trailer information to the best of my ability. So the main thing is just to make sure it meets the BLM qualifications, such as not having a ramp, having a cover or the top to it, etc. Another thing it asks you to do is just to draw a layout of your facility and then also provide directions to the facility. And I'm assuming that's for just inspection. They do have this system, it's sort of like an audit, but I do know that they sometimes do inspect the homes of adopters. The application just ends with the terms of adoption and just some more information about the qualifications and requirements. Okay, so the waiting process. How long does it take after you've done your application? The internet adoption is a 7-day period. So it opens usually on a Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time and ends on a Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So there's a full week where the bidding can go on. I put in my application on Friday before the internet adoption. It was a long wait. I was really anxious about whether or not I'd be approved for this adoption because I was so close to the deadline. I was in all sorts of Facebook groups, and I was reassured by other members that they're really quick, they'll get to it, you'll have an approval by the end of the adoption. So I just kind of hoped that that would be the case. It took about 4 or 5 days for me to get approval. I put in my application on Friday, the auction started on Tuesday, and then my application was approved on Wednesday. I went from position 67 and just slowly went down and down on the list. I was so shocked when I saw it flip from being third in line to approved. It was just a really, I don't know, it was just a moment of just joy and surprise, and I couldn't believe it was happening. I was approved. So many feelings that I felt. Bidding on the horses was a exciting and stressful situation. It was hard to know what strategy. Was there a strategy? I don't know. But I put in bids. There were so many different colors and types, but one of my favorites was this beautiful gray mare. Obviously, colored horses go for a little bit more than these solid horses, and that was obvious from the beginning. When you put a bid in, you could also set a proxy bid up to a certain amount. So if somebody bid on the horse that you wanted, your bid would go up to go over theirs as long as it stayed below that max bid that you put in. So it was the last day, Tuesday, at about 5:30, and I logged on to my computer just to get ready for the end of the auction. I was winning that gray mare and so excited about it. I opened up my laptop and my computer desktop with 2 different screens, and I had all these screens opened. Each of the horses that I was interested in, and then like the main bidding page, and then an update page, and I kept going through them and refreshing them all. It was just a very tense situation as I'm going through, frantically making sure that I got the updates if I got outbid as soon as possible. That's why I kept hitting that refresh button. So the last few seconds were coming down, and someone was trying to outbid me on that gray mare. So I was getting really nervous, and then I see my clock hit 6 o'clock, and this relief, like, oh my gosh, I won this gray mare. And then I look at my computer, and I can see that the Bureau of Land Management time, it's actually like 5:36. There was a lag time. There was like a few second lag time. Even though my computer said it was 6, the Bureau of Land Management said it was not yet 6. And I'm seeing that and I'm like, oh no. And then I see someone bid on that gray mare. So I'm not even kidding, there was 10 seconds left. And I had to make a quick decision. I really wanted this mare, but I had no idea what this bidder was willing to pay for this mare. I had no idea what their proxy bid was. It was getting a little high to what I wanted to spend. So I decided to go to my favorites page and pick another one of my favorites and just put a bid on. So I jump over to my favorites page, put in a bid. It's now 3 seconds left, and then I hit submit. And I feel very badly for stealing someone's horse in the last 3 seconds, but oh well. So I won a horse, and I was actually, to be honest, I won a horse, but I was so disappointed because I had my heart set on this gray mare. When you're doing these auctions, your heart can really get in these animals. Like, you spend a lot of time getting to know them by looking through their different profiles, reading the information, watching their video, and I had already felt like I wanted that gray mare. Half of me was really excited that I did not win her because she was gorgeous and she's exactly what I would have loved for a personal horse. So having a horse that wasn't that would probably make it easier to rehome at the end of this. So what did I win? I won a 2-year-old bay filly from the Green Mountain HMA. So HMA just means Herd Management Area. Green Mountain is in Wyoming, and the interesting thing is that this horse from Green Mountain is going to be traveling all the way to the Green Mountain State in Vermont. So she is 2 years old, but she was also born in holding. So her mother was rounded up when she was pregnant and gave birth to this little filly in the holding facility. So this girl has never known freedom. She's still a wild horse. She's still in touch. She's still going to have that fear instinct in her, but she has not actually been out on the open range, which is kind of sad. That's 2 whole years in holding. And her birthday is on July 4th, so she's an Independence Day baby. She just turned 2. I'm planning on giving her a patriotic name, and when I get that tag off, then I'll announce it. Within a week, I was able to do all of my paperwork through the Bureau of Land Management and make my payment for this little mare. I got her for $370, which was actually a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but I also just didn't want to lose the opportunity of getting a horse. So it was kind of a last minute bid, last second bid. I then connected with a driver who would be willing to transport my horse from Pennsylvania to my home in Vermont. And that was great because she's very familiar with mustangs. She's starting her own business called Wild Horse Transportation, and she just has a lot of experience, so I felt really good about that. I had to coordinate with her and a couple other people to arrange pickup. There was 2 days, a Friday and a Saturday pickup in August, and I had to go this Saturday at 8 a.m. option just because of the coordination details. So we would have liked to have Friday, but oh well. So that's basically my internet adoption experience in a nutshell. I'm really excited to be adopting this little horse, and I can't wait to share it with you. So my next video is going to be the pickup. So stay tuned for that and meet my little Mustang. Thanks for watching.